like 20 minutes to make this video. And I'm gonna make it because you know what? I need to. Since y'all didn't listen the first time, we are kicking the hornet's nest once again, alright? Because I'm tired of people who don't do their research. That's not the program I want. There we go. Hello, my fellow Washington State voters. Now I realize, as we have gotten our ballots, that it may be a little too late to make this video to reach an audience, but I don't care, because this is important to me, and I'm telling you why. And it's because we are not teaching our children. We are not doing well enough. Our schools are not doing a good enough job. All right? So, now I could go on and on about why I personally feel like we need this bill. But I kind of already did in the old video. Not to mention, I added all the resources down below in the original video. And I'm going to put them in this one again. So we are going to start by saying all of the resources. Yes, resources, not materials, resources, as in what schools can use for this class. That link will be down below. You can go to OSPI. You can look at the actual materials of what they suggest, what guidelines they have created for what to be used to teach a comprehensive sexual education class. All right? Now, to a lot of you, I just want to say, stop being scared of the word sex. Gosh, like, one of the biggest things I had against me was a bunch of parents being like, you don't have kids. No, I don't. My position is not as someone with children. It is someone who got out of the school system and literally knows nothing about her body. I just realized I forgot to turn on my ring light. Hopefully you can see me a little better as I'm, oh, whatever. Anyway, OSPI, they provide everything you need. Well, not that you need. They provide all the resources. Now look, sex ed, this isn't meant to be like, you will teach exactly this and this and this and this and this and this. No, not at all. You see what the state is doing is they are saying, hey, Washington schools, this is a mandatory class. By the way, here's the standard. Go design your own program. We'll tell you if it meets the standard. Okay, great, good to go. Go do it. Bye. Also, nothing sexual will be taught till 4th grade, where you start teaching kids things before the majority of them start developing into adults. You know, to help kids learn how their bodies are going to change before the majority of them start changing. But anyways, that's the priority of the program, is not to say you must do this and this and this. It is to say, here is the standard. Please meet it or exceed it. Thank you. And it encourages schools to take their communities and their parents to develop their own programs. Wow! So schools who already have some, yeah, just make sure you meet the standard. You're good to go. Now, I could talk in objectives all the time, but I feel one thing people can't argue with are cold, hard facts. Now, you might be saying, oh, 4th grade is too young to be teaching a child about consent. Elementary school children should not be learning consent. Actually, that's the main focus of this program, is consent. I don't see an issue with that, sorry. But anyway, aside from that, you may be saying, oh, 4th grade is too young to start teaching a child these things. But there's also some people out there who would prefer that children not know these things. Those people we refer to as pedophiles. And now you're gonna say, oh, not my child. Oh no, oh no. Wake up. This isn't a bubbly, happy world. This is a world filled with cruel people who do terrible things and feel no remorse for it. The best thing you can do is educate your child. And that's the sad truth. Now, in my previous video, I had to cut out a large portion of it, which I talked about sexual assault and harassment. Because the main push for this bill is to give Erin's Law some actual backbone, some actual oomph. For those who don't know, Erin's Law was set up to help schools figure out how to teach sexual assault, harassment, how to teach about sexual assault and harassment in schools. But the law has nothing behind it. It's more of a suggestion of, hey, can you do this? And that's primarily what Senate Bill 5395 is trying to do, is give this law, Erin's Law, what's already been passed, some actual backbone and meaning. Okay, this is like riding on the coattails, but if 5395 can actually get through, it will actually give Erin's Law some actual real meaning and purpose other than a suggestion of, hey, could you use this? But yeah, a lot of people are like, I don't need my child learning about sex. I don't need. They're going to. Whether through you, or porn, or someone else, or some other media. I mean, you leave your kids with phones all the time. You think they're not going to figure it out? And they're going to do their own research. And they're not going to find accurate information all the time. Like, I personally would have loved if a gynecologist could have come into my school and talked to all the females and been like, what are your questions? And been like, is this normal? Hey! Instead of being an adult where I'm like, so I have a question, and they're like, why don't you? And they look at me like, why don't you know this? Why are you stupid? Because no one ever taught me anything. Yeet! Anyway, so I ran into, while trying to do research for this, because I was finding no information at all, and this was a huge part I had to cut out of my past videos. So, while I was doing my research and finding nothing, I found KC Sark. And KC Sark is King County Sexual Assault Resources Center. And they're great. Huge shout out to Laurel Redden. Thank you so much for giving me the correct resources to get on my way. But the statement I was given from KC Sark is, KC Sark serves sexual assault survivors throughout King County. We served 4,905 survivors in 2019, 45% of whom were children. Most survivors know the person who assaulted them. Among our clients, 88% of survivors were related to or were acquainted with their perpetrator. So what does that tell me? That tells me out of almost 5,000 survivors, almost half of them were children. You may think that's not that bad, but the one thing you have to take into consideration is with sexual assault and harassment numbers, you always get low numbers. Because how many cases go unreported? How many people don't know that they have been sexually harassed or assaulted? Because we don't teach our kids these things. Another resource I was directed to was the Washington Coalition of Sexual Assault Programs, or WCSAP.org. And from there, I was able to pull some relatively simple numbers. For instance, in 2017, community sexual assault programs in Washington served 13,398 primary victims of sexual assault and 9,175 secondary sexual assault victims. I'm not sure what the difference is. It didn't specify, but those are some pretty big numbers. To school related, in 2016, 17.7% of 10th graders in Washington reported they had been made to engage in unwanted kissing, sexual touch, or intercourse. National surveys of adults suggest that between 9 and 32% of women and 5 to 10% of men report that they were victims of sexual abuse and or assault during childhood. 22% of victims were younger than age 12 when they were first raped, and 32% were between ages of 12 and 17. 32% and 22%. Now let's think for a minute. When you enter kindergarten, you're what, about 5 years old? First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. So before seventh grade, 22% of sexual assault victims have been raped. And then that number gets bigger after that year, when supposedly you're in middle school, so you should have some sort of health class. Clearly. And that's only of reported numbers. Additionally, among adults who are developmentally disabled, as many as 83% of the females and 32% of the males are victims of sexual assault. These are just some quick numbers from KC-SARC and WCSAP. I will include the links down below in case anyone wants to learn more or you want to find more information. But the basis that this comes down to, why I support Senate Bill 5395, is because I personally did not receive any real education on what sexual assault and harassment were. The Me Too movement has been a strong movement these last 4 years, and I did some research and I found out I wasn't learning what I should be learning in health class. There's too much focus on telling me what I shouldn't do instead of explaining what I should look out for. How I can maybe save someone, how I can notice the signs, how I can stop behaviors, stop people. Consent is like a cup of tea, and unconscious people don't want tea. I want you to think, what do you know about sexual assault and sexual harassment? What is the difference between sexual assault and sexual harassment? Because when we make these lines black and white, maybe we'll have less issues of muddling in the gray. Maybe if we teach a little more. And once again, kindergarten through 5th grade, we'll receive one teaching. That can be one day. 6th through 12th grade, a minimum of 2 teachings or 2 days. That is the bare minimum. I know in 5th grade, for me, it was a week, and we did like a few hours going over stuff. This is creating a standard. This is ensuring we educate our children to protect them. This is ensuring we can teach about consent. We can teach bystander training. We can give Erin's Law a little more backbone. So that's why I ask to please vote yes on Senate Bill 5395. Schools will be free to create whatever they want. OSPI will simply provide resources for them, which OSPI is the Office of the Superintendent of Public Instruction. They simply provide resources, more of a, hey, if you want to know what to look for, here's something like this. Are you missing a resource here? Here we have one. You don't like that one? Find another. Just make sure it matches these guidelines. Okay, it falls in the guidelines, it's good to go. Let the children learn. Let them know more. That's why I say, hashtag educate the children, hashtag save the children. Thank you. I hope you give this bill a chance.